Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
Gentlemen, how's it going today? We are talking to Stan Smith, trying to figure out who is Stan Smith, with Stan Smith and Danny Lee. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, Danny's the one that tried to figure it out. We spent a lot of time together, and I don't know if you've seen the film or not, but he's the one that created it.
Because the film's fantastic. It's great that, like, you know, and one of the quotes from the trailer, because I don't want to give away too much from the film, is even Jordan doesn't have his face on his shoe.
You know, Michael Jordan has been an icon, certainly in basketball, and his involvement in the business has been dramatic. And I'm not sure, you know, which shoes but it's been great to see his impact on the game.
Your audience might appreciate too that the agent who did Michael Jordan's first Nike deal is Stan's agent, Donald Dell.
Yeah.
Culture history.
Yeah. Donald Dell was involved from the very beginning with Michael, and then David Falk kind of took over that relationship, and of course that Nike relationship is unbelievable. So I don't use the word here in the house. It's not allowed, that four-letter word that starts with N. So we like to stick with Adidas here in our house.
Listen, I've been an Adidas guy since I was a kid. We can thank Run DMC for that, and then, you know, thank you for Run DMC at that point. You know, being a world-renowned tennis player, shoe icon, humanitarian, loving husband, so much going on. You know, what's it like when someone like Danny goes, hey, let's figure out, you know, Stan's background in all of this and how this goes along?
Well, Danny spent a lot of time with us, and in fact, the most difficult time, I think, was when he went to London and during COVID and was quarantined for 5 days in the hotel room without getting out of the room before he was okay to come to Wimbledon to do the filming. So he jumped through all sorts of hoops to do it, and then I got a little sick at the end and tried to grind away in this was a 14-hour interview, Dan.
No, we went
but that was like playing 5 sets in the finals of Wimbledon, doing that. But it was a fun experience to get to know Danny and to see how he was going to, you know, fashion this documentary, which is awkward, I think, to have anybody do a documentary on this.
Yeah, it was a complicated story to tell, right? Stan's life story and career spans 50 years plus, and he started out as this child, this young boy whose father wasn't necessarily emotionally around, whose mother first taught him tennis. You know, he had these 2 older brothers who were already at college, and he was almost like this single child. And it was a story of this kid who became obsessed with tennis, obsessively taught himself, learned, and, you know, would practice against his garage door, and just became singularly focused, which I think is common with a lot of athletes, in becoming the greatest in the world. But I think along the way, he not only became the greatest in the world and becoming #1 in the world, winning Wimbledon, winning the US Open, but he curiously stumbled on to becoming this fashion icon with this sneaker that just took hold and had a life of its own and had its own trajectory. And then beyond that, he went from fashion icon and tennis champion into this unexpected humanitarian. So it was sort of a dream story to tell, despite its complexities, despite, you know, imagine trying to fit all this not only into 90 minutes, but how do you weave a story about his tennis trajectory alongside this parallel story, this sneaker, which had its own life, and then weave in, you know, this love story. It was a complicated, probably the most complicated story I think I've ever told, but it was worth every minute So hopefully that answers your question, but it was a pure privilege and honor to tell this story. Stan, I've worked with many different celebrities, and Stan was by far the most enjoyable experience, the most collaborative experience, where he was just so open to every idea. And for me, also part of this was there's a big visual component to this. I mean, I thought there was such an opportunity to bring a lot of style to this, where early on it became very clear that this film should be, the propulsion of the story should be unraveling this mystery of who this man is, right? You know the name, but I guarantee you 7 out of 10 people don't know that he was a tennis champion, don't know that he helped unionize tennis. He won Wimbledon in 72. He turns around the next year and boycotts Wimbledon at the height of their power, at the height of the International Tennis Federation's power. That he helped, that he stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder with Arthur Ashe during the Civil Rights Movement, when frankly it wasn't that popular for a white player to do that. To helping this young tennis upstart named Mark Mathabane in South Africa that's not only escape apartheid, but find a new life for his family in the States. A lot of people don't know this. They only know that it's a clean sneaker that you can wear at a wedding if you wanted to. And so I knew that mystery would be the driving engine behind the film. So crafted this shadow motif, and maybe some people pick it up, maybe some people won't, but we show it in the opening title sequence where shadows are really prevalent. Even his shadow, as like we reveal the film title, you see the shadow of actually Stan's silhouette serving. So that was really important. I thought it was an opportunity to embody the crispness, the elegance of Stan's sneaker into there's some interconnectivity there, and for me, style is important. It should never trump the story, but it should enhance it. And I thought this is an opportunity to do that.
Danny, I'm going to ask you this question first, and then Stan, you could follow up with it because you've lived this life. So I don't think you could answer it properly. Danny, you spent a lot of time with Stan. What is a Stan Smith boring day or average day that would just end up being the most exhilarating thrill of somebody else's life?
I would say that would be Stan playing on his namesake court at Sea Pines Resort in Hilton Head. Like, I had the opportunity to play with Stan on our off shooting days, and the fact that the man was sick and still said, "Hey, I'll go hit with you. I'll go teach you some things." I was like, first of all, that was amazing on so many levels to hit with Stan Smith on the Stan Smith court. And on clay, I had never played clay before, and I've only played the beat up concrete courts at Los Angeles Park. But so I thought to most people that might seem average, but he has all these sort of lessons that are just so simple. One of them was, I learned playing with a two-handed backhand, and I started to adopt a one-handed backhand. And he just said, put your I'm right-handed, put your right thumb in your pocket. And it's like you're unsheathing a sword. And like the minute I did, it was like, it just went. The ball just hit the corner. And so it's like the simplicity of his lessons, the way he delivers the messages, I think is one of Stan's superpower. It's understated, but it's powerful. And so that's a roundabout way of saying that's a very basic day that for most people would seem average, but it was very cool.
And then Stan, what's a boring day to you? Like, what is a nonchalant day to you? Feeding 17 orphans, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not making light of you feeding the orphans. That's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but like that seems like your baseline at this point.
Well, that would be fun. We have 17 grandchildren, and so we had them all here for Christmas. And so you talked about 17 orphans. They're not orphans, but that would be my most exciting day, to be with the 17 grandkids and have them together and relating with one another. And I have this academy at Hilton Head, and we have about 45 kids. And so every afternoon when I'm in town, we go out and I get to, help them in some way. And the biggest thing I can do for those kids is to encourage them in many ways. And in fact, my favorite quote I gave last week when I was here was that comparison is a thief of joy. And especially with social media out there, it's really difficult for kids these days. I mean, I think it's twice as difficult or more than it was when I was growing up to handle everything that's thrown at these kids. And the fact that the family is not as strong as it used to be, you've got a lot of kids that are dealing with that as well. And again, the social media and the drugs that are out there. I mean, it's really a challenge for kids to really grow in a hopefully in a way that they can have some meaning in their lives. And so it's one of the things I would try to deliver to kids is that when I'm at campus, try to give them some encouragement with what they're doing as well as how they're living.
Stan, I'm going to leave you with this because unfortunately we've ran out of time. But the documentary does release in New York and LA on May 3rd, my birthday. So just remember, I wear a size 13 American.
Really?
I do. And it comes
That's
out on
my
May
wife's
3rd.
birthday as well.
Oh,
May 3rd.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But I want to leave you with this. How was the documentary pitched to you, and were you reluctant to do it because you're just living your life, and at some point you realize this is just my average Tuesday, but this could inspire somebody else to figure out who I am more than just a sneaker or a tennis player?
Well, you're absolutely right, RC, that it's awkward to have something done like that about you. But this book was done by Rizzoli and Adidas, and LeBron James, company, the production company, saw that, and they wanted to expand upon it and do a documentary. So that's how it kind of came about, and I didn't know what to expect really, because again, I think it's a little awkward to have a documentary done on your life. You're like you say, I'm living it, and I'm not trying to do anything special than what's important to me.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. Who is Stan Smith? An incredible documentary, executive produced by LeBron James, DMC from Run DMC, John McEnroe, Donald Dell. So many people are in this documentary that's worth checking out. Coming out on May 3rd in LA and New York, and I believe the week after, or 2 weeks after, it's going to be released across the country. You got to check it out. Stan, it's been a great pleasure chatting with you. Danny, thank you as well so much for your time. You put in an incredible documentary, whittling it down to a little over 90 minutes. I don't know how you pulled it off.
Thank you, RC. Thank you for your time.
Voice for radio, by the way. Great everything.
Thank you. Well, I announced minor league and college sports, so.
Nice.
It's a great voice.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care, everyone.